If you're ready for me to mispronounce about 100 French people's names, stick around for this video. Hi guys, it's Mono. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. I wanted to put together a list of 20 smell before you die, bucket list, iconic, legendary perfumes that I think every perfumista should smell along their journey. It's kind of put together for people that might be new to the perfume world. You know, I do realise that not everyone is far along into their fragrance journey and we don't really know where to start because let's face it, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of perfumes on the market. Where do you start really? So I've put together a list of 20 fragrances that I personally think have reached legendary status. If you're going on a fragrance journey, you cannot miss these ones out. Not all of them I'm a fan of, but they are things that I think need to be sniffed just so you can see what there is to offer in the perfume world. They span a lot of different perfumers, a lot of different timelines. I will say this is my list, so please don't be villagers with torches and come knocking on my door and say, you forgot that one, because this list could probably be about 10 hours long, right? There's a lot of legendary perfumes. This is just the things that I have picked out. It's my list, it's my channel, right? Just be quiet. So without further ado, let's do it. So I'm going to start with the most obvious one. I'm going to start with the one, let's get it out of the way. It is Chanel No. 5, which was made in 1921 by Ernest Bohr. Hugely famous fragrance. This one has an army of people that are faithful to it and have been for many, many years. On the flip side, there's also a lot of people that cannot stand this one. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, I would say. So, Chanel No. 5, Ernest Bohr, made famous by Marilyn Monroe's famous quote saying that she wears nothing to bed apart from Chanel No. 5, or she only wears Chanel No. 5 to bed. I don't know if really that is the thing that made it famous, but that's the thing that everyone kind of knows it for. It's a floral, it's a fragrance that uses a lot of aldehydes. There's ylang ylang in this one. There's actually quite a lot of animalic notes kind of mingled in there as well, and the original one had so much animalic in it. It's been through a lot of variations, formulations, but anyway, Chanel No. 5, go and smell it if you haven't smelled it. I've got to be quicker, otherwise we're going to be here for a long time. The next one on the list is Opium by Yves Saint Laurent. This one was made in 1977. This was made by 3 different people, Jean Amick, Jean-Louis Suizac, and Raymond Chaillon. This one to me is one of the queens of the Orientals. I actually own this one now. Came out in 1977. Yeah, huge fragrance, lots of myrrh, lots of spice, lots of flowers, pretty much just lots of everything going on in this one. It's not for the faint-hearted, but being that Orientals are my favourite style of fragrance, this one's pretty much a given that it has to be in my collection. If you've never smelled Opium, it's changed a lot since its first release in 1977, but I actually really like the new version of it, I'm not going to lie, I think it's great. So, Opium, massive Oriental, was kind of controversial at the time of its release because of the name and the packaging as well, so yeah, check that one out. The next one is Shalimar by Guerlain. This one came out in 1925. It was made by Jacques Guerlain. There are many Guerlains. There are many. It's a long line of people that make fragrances for them. It's a family affair. So this one is another amazing Oriental, and it's a very classic amber fragrance. You have vanilla, patchouli, labdanum creating this magical amber accord, along with some civet, which gives it a bit of an edge. It's animalic, and citruses over the top. If you haven't smelled this one, you really should, because it still sells in a big amount today. I mean, I've had multiple bottles of Shalimar. Yes, a lot of people say, oh, it's so old-fashioned and stuff, but what do you expect? It was made in 1925, guys. Stop complaining. Just absolutely beautiful. It's a vanilla, fluffy cloud fragrance. The next one I really don't even want to talk about, but I'm going to have to talk about it because it is legendary status. But if I had a penny for every time someone talked about this fragrance, I'd have £100 and 25 pence. This one gets put on every single recommendation list. I see thousands of pictures of people's collections, all with this fragrance in it, and people refer to it as the king of fragrance. People are obsessed with the batch codes, the different variations. Do you have this? The clones. La 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 la. Aventus by Creed. I can smell this on a bajillion guys a day in London. I just smell it everywhere. I think it's a really cool fragrance. I actually love it. I think it smells amazing, but I guess I'm just over it. Stop talking about it, guys. Move on. I guess you could say that about some of the things I talk about. But anyway, whatever. So, Aventus, yes, very expensive fragrance. The best seller, I think, probably, that Creed have ever had. It came out in 2010. It was made by Olivier and Erwin Creed. And yeah, it's a fresh woody, this one. There's fruitiness from pineapple. It has an unusual note of birch tar, which gives it a touch of smokiness. It's aromatic. It's very, very sexy. It's versatile, and it lasts about 24 hours from one spray. I mean, it's really, really good quality. And I think it smells nice. When I smell it, I'm like, oh, that's Aventus. But it happens every other minute. So Aventus is a legendary, iconic fragrance, especially for guys. A lot of guys wear this one. So if you're a young guy watching this and you want to get something that is going to be crowd pleasing and really sexy, Aventus, go for it. Go. Go. Now. The next one is Love It or Hate It, Angel from 1992. This was made by Olivier Cresp. I remember the first time I ever tried this fragrance, or smelled it actually. I didn't try it. There was a girl that used to sit next to me at school, and she had just come back from holiday somewhere, and she had a tiny mini of it that I've actually never seen since. It must be worth a lot of money now, I don't know. But she smelled of this fragrance at school, and there was something magical about the first time smelling Angel. It was groundbreaking. You know, one of the first kind of gourmand fruit, chewy, chocolatey type things that I don't think had been done before. So Angel is legendary. Whether you loathe it or love it, it's not going to go anywhere, guys. It's not. I still have some of the original formula, which I treasure quite a lot. And the new one is a little bit iffy, to say the least, but Angel has to be on this list. It has to. Angel by Terry Mugler. The next one is another Guerlain fragrance, and it's called Jicky. It came out in 1889, and it was made by Amy Guerlain. Or is it M? I can't pronounce that one. I even looked it up on Google how to pronounce his name, and I just don't know. Jicky was another groundbreaking fragrance. I used to think it was the first fragrance that used synthetics. It actually was not, I found out further along the line, but it was the first fragrance to use so many synthetic materials in its composition. It's actually related to Shalimar a little bit. Jicky is a big element of what Shalimar is, but Jicky is a clash. It's a conundrum. It's got a lot of lavender. There's a lot of animalic notes in this one, and it was designed for women, but actually a lot more men wore it in the time of its release. Did I say when it was? 1889. Yeah. So Jicky by Guerlain is, I think, another groundbreaking, legendary fragrance that needs to be smelled if you're on a fragrance journey, or just smell it anyway, even if you're not on a fragrance journey. The next one is the, again, Love It or Hate It, Poison by Christian Dior. This one has assaulted my nose since I was a young child. This one came out in 1985 when I was 5. It was made by Edouard Flechier, and yeah, whether you like it or not, legendary for a reason. I mean, the potency is one of the main reasons why I think it's legendary. It's not so much anymore, but in the 80s, if a woman was wearing this, or a person, I should say, was wearing this, you knew about it. It was one of those, it comes into the room before the person does. Just a huge incensey tuberose, dark plum. Just think of the deepest purple ever. Think of shoulder pads. Think of a fragrance that is so dense it can hit the back of your throat. That is what Poison is. It was an unashamed, unabashed, in-your-face fragrance. It still is. That's centered around white flowers and incense, and I really, really appreciate it for what it is. So, Poison. Aptly named. The next one is one that I have owned multiple bottles of, and I still do now. It is LouLou by Cacharel. This is legendary, I think, among a certain age group. I don't think a lot of people, I guess millennials and stuff like that are into a lot of fresh things would know what LouLou is. But in my mind, this is a legendary fragrance because, again, when I was a child, this came out in 1987. It was made by Jean Guichard. And this one is another in the similar vein to Poison. Huge, bombastic tuberose incense. It's kind of smoky. I smelled this so many times when I used to go out with my mum on nights out. That sounds really weird, but when my mum would take me out for an evening and there was lots of ladies around, I think it's legendary because it's so undeniably, you can't distinguish, you can't not recognize it. That's what I'm trying to say. When you smell LouLou, you know immediately that it's that fragrance, and nothing really smells similar to it that I've ever come across. Yeah, it's a white floral like Poison, but it's got so many other things going on as well, and it's one of the only fragrances that I'm actually afraid to wear. So LouLou by Cacharel, amazing. I still love it to this day. The next one just happens to be my favourite perfume on the planet. I would consider it to be my signature, although I have changed my signature quite a few times, not gonna lie. This one is Samsara, and it's by Guerlain. It's made by Jean-Paul Guerlain, another one of the Guerlains, and it came out in 1989. Unfortunately, it's fallen prey to the reformulation thing multiple times, but I still love it. I still have some vintage. I don't need to wax lyrical about this one much. I mean, I've talked about it so much. It's an oriental, jasmine, sandalwood, beautiful violet, vanilla fragrance that is sultry, mysterious, magical, amazing. I'm going to stand here for 10 minutes off camera and talk to myself so you guys don't have to listen. Samsara by Guerlain. Go and smell it now, please. Okay. The next one is Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. Given Tom Ford has quite a lot of legendary fragrances, I think, like Black Orchid and Oud Wood and stuff like that. But Tobacco Vanille I've put in as the legendary iconic fragrance because of the amount of people that I've heard talk about it, the amount of people that I've smelled it on. I used to work in a perfume shop, and a lot of customers would say, I wear Tobacco Vanille, what do you have that's similar? It's just the one that I think a lot of Tom Ford fans, or if most Tom Ford fans, will have in their collection. A really nice spicy oriental fragrance, heavily features a lovely smooth but spicy tobacco with a big dollop of gloopy vanilla. Really good quality, lasts a really long time, gets you noticed, and I think it's probably one of his best sellers. I say probably, I'm guessing because I smell it all the time. And it was made by Olivier Guillotine. Kind of like guillotine, but not. The next one is one that burst onto the scene in 2001, and it's from Chanel. It's Coco, Mademoiselle. This was made by Jacques Polge, really famous perfumer. This is another one that you just smell it everywhere. It's a patchouli fragrance, essentially. Really nice florals, very smooth perfume. Ultra feminine. I know I don't like to put fragrances in boxes, but ultra feminine fragrance that is unmistakable when you smell it, and I'm sure it's one of those, like, you know, a Big Mac gets sold 2 every second. I'm sure a bottle of Coco Mademoiselle gets sold at least once every minute, maybe twice every minute, because it's a nice casual, easy go-to, kind of fits all occasions. You can just spray it on. It's one that I've actually toyed with owning a lot of times, but I just haven't. But Coco Mademoiselle, if you haven't smelled it, you probably have, because you will have smelled it on a person somewhere, in the street, somewhere, at some point. The next one is another one that I kind of feel a little bit similar to than I do about Aventus, because it's one that just won't go away. It's Santal 33, and it's by Labo. This one is, I guess, a little bit more legendary in the niche lovers or niche world of perfumery, because it's another one that you just see in everyone's collection. It's not in my collection, but I still think it's good. This one came out in 2011, and it was made by Frank Volkel. The names guys, they're really difficult. This is a fragrance that is also everywhere. If you don't know what it smells like, it's another one that you might have smelled, especially if you live in a city. You will have smelled this fragrance or one of its 50 dupes that have burst onto the market as well, because everyone's jumping on the Santal 33 bandwagon. It's just an ever-running train that's not slowing down. It's essentially green, I think. It's a green woody fragrance that smells more like violet leaves than it actually does of sandalwood. It's unmistakable once you know it, and it's a favourite of city people. I don't know why. Maybe it's because Le Labos are in cities more. I don't know, but I've only ever smelled this when I've been in cities, in multiple countries as well. So Santal 33, very, very tenacious fragrance. It just lasts. You put it on and it can be so overwhelming and people get really annoyed by it actually. But yeah, try it out. Le Labo Santal 33. The next one is Flowerbomb by Viktor and Rolf. No matter what you say, this one I think should be on this list because it's one that I see advertised everywhere. It's one that I smell on so many younger women. I actually smelled it today. No word of a lie. I went out to post something at the post office and I smelled it on the go in front of me. It's like, ah, she's wearing Flowerbomb. It's everywhere. Came out in 2005 and it was made by 4 perfumers, 4. One of whom happens to be my bae, Dominique Ropion. The other ones are Carlos Benaim, Olivier Polge and Domiti Michelon. Sorry to all of you. So this one's one of the ones that has burst out of the sweet trend. There are hundreds and hundreds of this style of fragrance on the market, this sweet pink things that come in this packaging that makes you want to smell it because it's pink and yay and fun. But Flowerbomb is the one that I think a lot of people go to. There's La Vie Belle as well, which I haven't put on this list. I should probably have put La Vie Belle on this list. Let's put them together. La Vie Belle, Flowerbomb, very similar category, same colour. Dominique Ropion also made La Vie Belle as well. So yeah, those two, let's make it 21. Oh, I like doing things off the cuff. Keeps me alive. Super legendary, super strong, super pink, super floral fruity, girly pink fluffiness. The next one was made by Olivier Cresp and it is Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana. Oh my gosh, another one that's just everywhere. Easygoing, light, fresh, citrusy fragrance. When did this come out? Let me just check my notes. Came out in 2001, this one. I just had a coughing fit, sorry guys. So yeah, this one is another really nice mass appealing one. It's an easy spray on, something to wear in summer. To me it smells like powdery oranges, if that makes sense. It's got a citrusy feeling to it, but there's powder in there too and some light fresh florals. Very easy to like, so I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards it. So I've put this one on the list just for that reason. I know a lot of people really like this one. A lot of people, when I'm spying people's Fragrantica perfume shelves, because I do that, I really do. Watch out, I'm coming for you next. I see Light Blue on a lot of people's shelves. So yeah, Light Blue by D&G. The next one is a perfume that I absolutely cannot stand. But somehow it seems to get into every conversation that I hear about in forums, groups, websites, talking to people all over the place. It's Baccarat Rouge 540 by Francis Kurkdjian, Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and he's the perfumer also. This one came out quite recently actually. It's a newer release, it's 2015, and this is a hyper sweet candy floss marshmallowy type fragrance that's very strong, very noticeable as well. The opening of it though to me is something really, really funky. But anyway, I'm putting this one on the list because it's another one that I had so many customers say, I wear Baccarat Rouge. It was almost every day a customer would come in and say that. I think it's legendary because of all of his, it's more of a niche one as well by the way, of all of his fragrances. There's a couple of others I hear mentioned, but Baccarat Rouge is worn by a lot of people and it's probably his bestseller. I love it when I say probably, like I know. I just guarantee, I don't guarantee. The next one was kind of a game changer. It's CKOne by Calvin Klein. 1994, it was made by Harry Fremont and Alberto Morillas. So at the time, there were unisex fragrances around. It wasn't really a new thing. I mean, Jicky, the one I spoke about, Designed for women, men wore it at first, but Calvin Klein's CKOne was the first one that actually pushed it onto people and said, this is a unisex fragrance, anyone can wear it. In terms of marketing, it's legendary for that. They were the first ones to really shove it out there that this fragrance can be worn by anyone, and it flew off the shelves. It flew onto my shelf as well. I made sure that I got a bottle of it. I've owned multiple bottles of it. Really nice, easygoing citrus fragrance, but still really distinct. Citruses to me can become boring. A citrus is a citrus. There's only so far you can go with how a citrus smells. But CKOne I still think is very unique, and I've not really smelled anything like it. So it's on the legendary list for what it did for the fragrance industry and how well known it is. The next fragrance is by Cacharel, and it's Anais. Anais. Have I said that right? This one came out in 1979, and 4 perfumers made this one: Roger Pellegrino, Robert Gannon, Paul Ledger, and Raymond Chaillon. The names. Beautiful names, I just wish I could say them properly. So this one is an unforgiving floral. I think this is another one that's kind of love or hate. I personally love this. My mum had this on her dresser when I was growing up, and I would always steal sniffs of it. I never sprayed it on my skin. Why do kids not do it? I didn't spray it on my skin. I just sniffed it from the sprayer all the time. Massive floral. It really French. That's the only way I can describe it. It's a classic bombastic French floral that has multiple flowers in it. I think there's hyacinth. There's flowers in here that aren't very typical, and it's the tonality of this one isn't like a lot of other perfumes. So that's why it's on the list. The bottle is so hideously ugly. Oh my gosh, it's awful, but the perfume is amazing inside. So Anais by Cacharel. Go and smell this one because it's still on the market, and I think now it's relatively cheap too. The next one is from 1993, and it was made by Jacques Cavalier. It's Jean Paul Gaultier Classique. I remember when this one came onto the scene, how much people went crazy for it. Crazy. Nothing smelled like this on the market when it came out. It was striking in that woman bottle. It was a little bit, ooh, this is a little bit interesting. The bottle's shaped like a woman. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely fantastic fragrance. Beautiful orange blossom, powdery, sultry, sexy fragrance that, again, very unmistakable if you've smelled it before, if you can just recognize it on other people. I think it's worth smelling because this was one of the smells of the 90s for me. I smelled this everywhere, and I still really like it today as much as I did then. Never owned it, but really like to smell it. The next one is made by Dominique Ropion, and it's Amarige by Givenchy. I love that perfumer. I think I'm just going to do a whole video about my favourite perfumes by him. So Amarige, it's an anagram of marriage. This one came out in 1991. Another big floral, another big white floral. This one was designed for brides, to wear it. Brides to wear it at their wedding? I mean, if you're a bride, you're going to be at the wedding. You're not going to be a bride if you're not at a wedding. So it's designed for weddings. And Dominique Ropion is fantastic with flowers. When he does florals, he does them very well. This one is still sold today. I'm not sure how many people wear it, but I definitely think it is a legendary fragrance. It's iconic for, I guess a lot of people smelled like this at their wedding. So I wonder if any of you guys wore this to your wedding. Interesting. Anyway, Amarige, lovely tuberose, jasmine, syrupy, smooth, sweet, and very strong fragrance by my favourite perfumer, Dominique Ropion. And the last one on the list is Estee Lauder Beautiful. I mean, Estee Lauder has a ton of iconic fragrances. I could have picked out of about 10 really to put on this list, but we don't want to be here all day. This one came out in 1985, and it was made by a couple of perfumers, one of whom is legendary herself, Sophia Grossman. It's also made by Bernard Chant and Max Gavary. This Gavary, Just another really beautiful, iconic floral, kind of in a similar feeling to Amarige actually. Another one that I think is very bridal. I guess a lot of women wore this to their wedding in 1985 when it came out. Another one that's fallen prey to reformulations, but it's a lovely golden, very womanly floral fragrance that I actually owned before, but I gave it away. No, I didn't. That's a lie. I sold it. But it's definitely legendary. You see it on the Estee Lauder counter. It sticks out a mile. So, yeah, I wanted to put it on the list because go smell it. It's stood the test of time. Anyway, I think I've spoken enough for today. Right? Go and smell them. Go and find them. A lot of them are readily available. You can find them in department stores. None of them are too crazy or hard to find, which is great. Anyway guys, I'm Archmomino, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. Goodbye.